Welcome back to the Crew Motorfest, and in this video, we're going to be showing y'all some more gameplay from the career mode, and also, we're going to be diving into a off-road Dodge Challenger. Now, this particular race was one that I wanted to highlight for y'all because it shows a really good mixture of what you're going to be expecting in terms of kind of off-road, cross-country style races, but also, I decided I would not edit it at all, and the reason I decided not to edit it at all was because, well, I have some points in this race where, let's just say I make a couple of glaring mistakes. I spun out a couple of times. There was one time where I almost found my way all the way in the back of the pack, but I was able to work my way back up, and so I wanted to be able to share that with y'all in this video. Now, I know that for some of y'all, this is an odd part of racing games, the sort of mixed surface type gameplay, where you're like, well, it's not really road racing, it's not really off-road racing either, it's also not really rally style, like where does it kind of fall in between, and you end up getting these odd, almost like car builds where it's a street-ish car that's also lifted a little bit and has slightly bigger tires, but I think sometimes you end up with a real, like, customization gem like you get with this particular off-road Challenger SRT8. Now, I kind of wish it was maybe like, you know, like a Hellcat or something like that, but still, this thing looks pretty sick. Now, once you get out here into the jungle, you start to really see the visual range of this game start to come alive. And let me know in the comments down below if you would like to see more gameplay of the Crew Motorfest from a more open road perspective or from a, like a more, you know, dense jungle perspective. This was one of the areas where I spun out, I went into the barrier, I reversed, I got hit. It was really, really, really bad. But again, I could have edited it out, but I decided not to edit it out, and I decided to leave it in. Now, also, I don't know why, for whatever reason, when I try to say edit it out really, really quickly, my brain kind of jumbles all of them together, and it's probably because my brain moves faster than my voice does sometimes, but, you know, don't worry about that. Now, thank you also massively to the developers for allowing me to jump in on the early beta for this game. It was an absolute blast to play, and I cannot wait to see what this game is like at launch, because I will absolutely be playing it both in my just free time in general and here on the channel. Now, I will say, I know that the Crew is not a series I have been sort of into on the channel anyway for quite a while. I did a little bit of the Crew 2 back when it first released, and then I kind of left the game alone. I kind of left the series alone for a while, and part of the reason for that is I kind of noticed that for a little while, my audience was moving a little bit closer toward more like off-road specific focus games, or like off-road and truck related games, but I would really like to get back into racing and car games and stuff like that, and so that's why I'm really excited about the Crew Motorfest, and I know that it might not necessarily be the by far most engaged with game on my channel at the present moment in time. However, I'm still really excited to see what this game does in terms of just gameplay and community and where it goes going forward. Now, I do also want to comment on the dirt handling, because the dirt handling is essentially, it's really similar to the pavement handling. It's just dialed back in terms of grip. So everything responds a little bit slower, but it's still very smooth. I actually really enjoyed the dirt physics. They actually performed really, really well, and they were kind of something I had to get used to, because as you can see on some of my slides, I will overextend the corner way too much, and then there's other times where I'll sort of like chop a bit of the corner off and undershoot the corner almost. So I'm kind of trying to find a happy medium between the two of those, but once we dial that in, we should be okay. Now, this person way out here in first, they were quite a ways ahead, and I mean quite a ways ahead, but you know what? I still was like, nope, I'm not going to restart the race. I'm going to go get them, because restarting the race was an option. I just decided it was not the option for me, because I was like, well, we're, you know, 56% of the way through the race. I can see the leader's car, so I might as well just have a go at it, right? And ironically, it was, you know, it's actually kind of cool how we made it up here to the front, and we have new school muscle car on this side, and then we have old school muscle car on the other side. So kind of a little bit of an interesting crossover there with that. But I always absolutely cannot get over the density of, that was a sick shot, by the way, but no, like, I cannot get over the density of the vegetation and the wildlife in these jungles. They are absolutely gorgeous, and I think the game's visual fidelity really comes alive when you're in these jungle environments. I cannot get over how good these jungles look. And that is coming from somebody that didn't think the off-road races were gonna be, you know, a favorite for, you know, for me in terms of gameplay. But the more I played this race, that was the other part where I almost spun out and I was like, oh, I should probably restart now. But yet again, I decided not to. I decided to go for it. As silly as that may have been, I still decided to keep going for it. But no, the jungles look so good that purely based off of that, and of course the fact that I actually really do like the new dirt handling that they have, especially in comparison to the way it was in the Crew 2, I see myself actually spending a good chunk of time in the dirt races, because the dirt races are really fun to play. They're really, really, really fun to play. So again, I've seen some comments on some of my videos on the Crew Motorfest, getting a little bit of, like, I wouldn't say, it's not hate, it's not backlash necessarily, but like people in the comments saying, oh, it looks just the same as the Crew 2, they didn't change anything. And I'm like, they changed a lot. You have to play it. You have to feel what they changed in the physics. And I absolutely almost smashed into that barrier on that over 90-degree turn, and the AI was just like, wham! And they're like, we're just headed right for it. Don't even worry about it. So after that, I was just like, well, y'all have fun with that, and I'll take off. But no, if you watch gameplay from some other YouTubers as well, you'll see that I'm not the only one that has been talking about the fact that the physics have been changed and improved for the better. They're way smoother than the Crew 2, and they're way less snappy than the Crew 2. My biggest complaint about the Crew 2's handling was that it always felt like you were on this knife's edge of snap. There was no sort of extra like motion you could play with once the car started to lose grip or started to slide. But here in the Crew Motorfest, they actually give you a really nice kind of zone, almost like a safe zone of slip angle to sort of play around with before the car just like either tries to snap back into line again or snap backwards. It actually makes the cars very fun to slide around, and even if you don't have a car that's on a dedicated drift setup, you can still have a blast sliding these cars around, both on pavement and off-road on dirt. Now, I almost really messed up right there at the end, but I was like, you know what? We're gonna not completely butcher this here at the end. We're gonna get it across the line. We're going to actually take our win that we almost, well, prevented ourselves from getting multiple times. Multiple times. And what's cool about that particular route is it actually took us all the way through the jungle and down to the beach. But we actually spent a lot of time on these, like, tight, mountainous back trails in the middle of nowhere, which was really, really, really freaking cool. And then, of course, gotta jump back into the monster truck. Gotta always enjoy the monster truck. Like, the monster truck is so much fun. Now, granted, this is not the only monster truck in the game. There are a lot of other monster trucks in the game. This is just the Chevy Silverado monster truck, and it was one that I figured y'all would appreciate seeing more gameplay of, especially since I did a video climbing the volcano with this thing, or one of the volcanoes with this thing, and if you want to see that, you can check it out over on my channel. But, also, this just in, don't go too far into the water. It doesn't like that, and it will tell you to leave immediately, and not to come back if you do that. Also, there are, like, random little, like, visual thing here that because I like to look at little details within games, but, like, it's not just, like, beach chairs and umbrellas. There's, like, beach chairs, umbrellas, tables, floaties, like, all sorts of towels, like, all sorts of things sitting around that you would normally see on a beach in the real world, but a lot of games don't give you all of that stuff. It's just like, oh, here's a bunch of beach chairs that look the same, and here's a bunch of umbrellas that look the same. But no, like, this actually has different, like, umbrellas and beach towels and floaties and stuff like that, and coolers, and it's just really, really cool how they went that extra bit of distance for that. And speaking of detail, let's jump into some boats. Now, boats are something I really haven't covered up until now, but I figured that I would share some boat gameplay with y'all in this video. And I know that boats are, you know, some of you are probably already clicking off the video because you're like, ah, boats, I'm not interested in boats. Get those out of here. I don't know why there was a little bit of a, like, New York accent in there, but either way, I get that not everybody is interested in boats, and that's why I put it a little bit further on in the video, so if you aren't interested in boats, you don't have to watch this part. But the boats were fun. I actually, like, I'm not the biggest fan of the boats either in, like, the Crew series. I was never like, oh my god, I need to race the boats more. But the more time I spent in one, the more I was like, you could probably have some fun with these. Now, I decided to skip the jump on that one. I was originally going to hit it, and then I was like, you know what? I feel like I could probably pick up a good chunk of speed by going around it and using that extra bit of speed to pass my opponent and thankfully get the win for this boat race, because I struggled in the beginning of this boat race. I know I didn't show y'all like the first, half or so of the race, but that's partially because I struggled really, really, really bad. I'm not used to the boat racing in this game. I'm gonna get better over time, but as it stands right now, I'm pretty bad at it, and don't get me wrong, it is definitely something I want to improve upon, but it was one of those things where when I tried it, I was like, oh, I'm kind of bad at this right now. And I get that whenever you switch disciplines in a game like this, you're going to have moments where you're like, oh, I need to get better at this. But me with the boats, like, specifically me with the boats in this game, it's like, oh, you need to practice. You need to get better. And so that's what I did. I was like, you know what, we'll attempt to use this race as a bit of practice, and then maybe a little bit later on we'll get a little bit more seat time in with the boats, because these things are a blast to drive once you actually get used to them. And that's the biggest thing. Like, once you get used to them, you can absolutely just flow in and out of corners with them. Like, literally flow like you're on water. Oh my god. Yeah, that was a terrible joke. But either way, I hope y'all enjoyed this video in the Crew Motorfest, and if you did, let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Hit that like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and I will see y'all next time. Talk to y'all later.